You see it all over social media. Whenever a homeschool post takes off, there's always at least one and sometimes many comments about how somebody can't do the homeschool thing because they need to work and they need to make money. So, in today's video, I'm going to talk about how I homeschool my 7 kids and my husband makes a very average income. So, if you're interested in learning how we do that, stay tuned for the video. Hi, my name is Joni and I'm the mom behind simplelivingmama.com. And here in today's video, I'm going to talk about how I afford to homeschool my large family. We're going to talk about some of the things that we've done over the past several years to get us to where we are right now. And we're going to talk about how we make this work. So, my husband has an average income. He's in the military. That's no secret. I talk about that here a lot. And we're not living high on the hog here, but we made a very, very conscious decision even before we started having children that I was going to stay at home with our babies. And then it sort of morphed into I'm just going to be a stay at home mom and homeschool the kids. But it was something that we decided very early on. Now, we didn't know when we made that decision how we were going to make it work. And it's something that we kind of figure out sometimes year by year, to be honest. But the Lord has always provided for us. And there have been times where I have felt like we're not going to make it. And I can get emotional talking about this. There are times when I felt like we're not going to make it, we're not going to get through. And the Lord has always provided for us. And in some way, shape, or form, He always comes through. I did not expect to get emotional talking about that. But okay, back to what I was talking about. My husband did not start off active duty military when we got married. We got married when I was very young. I was still in college. I was 19 years old. He was in the reserves. So if you don't know the difference between the reserves and active duty military, basically the reserves work 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks during the summer, and they're called up to go on deployments. So he had been on a couple of deployments. He went to schools. He did a lot of different things that counted towards active duty, but overall, that was not his career. And we didn't get the same active duty benefits unless he was deployed or something like that, which he did have a um, shortly after we got married, a few years after we got married. So he had a couple of different jobs that he worked, just to try to provide for our family. And they never paid a lot of money, didn't really have good benefits. He did end up working after he went on his second deployment, when we had our third child. He ended up working as a civilian for the military, which civilians also don't get the same benefits that active duty military gets. We still had to pay for health insurance. We still had to pay for other things. There's some differences, and his pay was not anywhere near the same that it would be if he were active duty. And during this time, I will say I have always been a very frugal person, and I'll talk about that sort of throughout the video, but I have never been one that has needed a new car. I don't shop for fun. I try to save as much money as I possibly can wherever I can. We've never been a family that goes on expensive vacations. I have an Instagram post that kind of breaks all of these down. But we've always been very resourceful. He builds a lot of our furniture. He made this bed. He's made all of our children's beds. He's made our coffee table. We've done whatever we can to not live, an extravagant, crazy lifestyle. So we're very frugal people. That said, I have always worked from home in some capacity. I did graduate from college even after having a baby. And as soon as I got my degree, I started working online, writing. And I didn't make a lot of money doing this. I did it for a few years. I wrote for different online platforms. and I'm going to date myself here, but one of them was called Demand Studios. There was another one, I can't even remember what it was called. I worked for them writing, and I would write like product descriptions for different things and just stuff like that. And then I eventually moved into the mommy blogger space, and I wrote for What to Expect for probably about a year and a half. And that's when I learned about blogging. And um, they ended up cutting their blogger program. So I got booted from that. And I was like, I need to figure out something else because I want to be home with my kids. This is when I was just starting to think about homeschooling, and I was probably either I had just had my second child or I was getting pregnant with my third child at this time. And I was like, I've got to do something. I got to figure something out. And I don't really want to be subject to the whims of another company. So I started a blog, and the blog I have had since 2011. I have been working at it the entire time. So much has changed. So much has changed since I started my blog. But it has provided a lot for our family in terms of me being able to pay for homeschool curriculum, birthday gifts, clothing, different things like that that may have been more difficult to pay for if I hadn't had the blog. That said, blogging, working online, and the online space has its highs and its lows. In fact, 2024 was a terrible year for my blog because of Google updates. So even still, you might be at the whim or at the mercy of another big company, even if you work online. But I'm making a comeback from that. There's always ways. There's always ways to work around. So I don't give up easily, and I'm going to keep trying and keep, doing whatever I can to bring in extra income for our family. That being said, my family does not solely rely on me and my business to run. My husband does have a job where he is now active duty. We decided to go active duty because of the benefits that it provides. Um, we do get money for housing on top of his regular pay, and he does, we get health insurance. um, there's some things that we do have to still pay for, but overall it provided more for our family than what he could get in any civilian job that he was trying to go after at the time. And at this point in time, he's been in long enough, he's close enough to retirement. A military retirement is a good retirement, and Lord willing, that is the plan, is for him to retire from the military. And then once he is retired, he can get his military retirement. And if he still wants to work another job in the civilian world, he is free to do that. So that's sort of like our story and what we have done. Now, I know that not everybody can do what we have done, but as far as military stuff goes, that's a big deal. It's a big commitment. When you're active duty military, they can move you whenever and wherever they want, and it's something that I struggle with all the time. We've had some amazing moves, places we never wanted to leave, and then we've had some horrible moves, and it's a tough part of the journey, as well as possible deployments and different things like that. So I understand that's not something that everybody can do. But even if your husband, has a civilian job or whatever and has a good, steady, average income, you can still make it work to stay at home. Like I said, I'm a frugal person. I shop sales. I buy mostly just what we need. I don't, especially when my income is down, I don't shop at all for fun. I shop for necessities. Um, I buy generic food, or I buy what is on sale. I meal plan. We don't go out to eat. At this point in time, we used to be able to go out to eat more often. At this point in time, the price of just like basic fast food is so extravagant. It has gone up so much with inflation. Times 9 people, I could make 5 meals at home for what we pay for one fast food meal that doesn't even fill everybody up. So we very rarely go out to eat anymore. It's a very, very special occasion or a rare occasion or whatever, if we're going to be buying food out. Or I've got some kind of coupons or some kind of deals or something. So we eat at home. Food is like our biggest expense by far, besides housing. Food is a huge expense. And it's kind of funny because the price of eggs got so high there for a while. Like I would always buy a big box of eggs, like a 60 count box of eggs. And it got so high there for a while that I could not buy the big box of eggs whenever I did my grocery orders. But it's gone back down now, thankfully, that I can buy the big box of eggs. And I was like, oh yeah, we feel rich now because we can buy the big box of eggs. But yeah, food has been a big one. And there are lots and lots of different ways that you can save on food. There are some other YouTubers that share great ideas for saving money on food or for making frugal meals at home. Those can help you out as well. I mean, you may not be able to eat exactly how you want to eat, depending on your budget, but there are ways that you can cut costs so that you can make this dream of being at home with your kids a reality. That being said, sometimes you just need to make extra money, and there are lots and lots of different ways that you can make extra money at home. I'm not an expert on that. I'm not going to, share all the different ways that you can do it. I can tell you how I've done it, through blogging, through YouTube. I'm not currently monetized here on YouTube, but I was at one time, through doing Amazon reviews, through social media and affiliate marketing. There's lots and lots of different ways that you can make money while being at home with your kids. It does require some discipline, it does require some planning, but you can make it work. We live in a day and age now more than ever that you can make it work if you work for it. So that's sort of my tips and sort of my advice. We don't put our kids in a lot of extracurricular activities. I talked about this in one of my previous videos. One of the reasons we don't do that is because of the cost, because we do have a lot of kids, and trying to put them in multiple extracurricular activities is too expensive. And of course, there's also the whole idea of time. We want to have time together as a family, and we want to not be rushing around and spending our life going from activity to activity to activity for no other purpose than to say that my kids are involved in all these activities. So keep our extracurricular activities to a minimum, one per child, along with going to church and doing church classes. Um, that's just how we do it. So we're frugal. We save where we can. We try to buy, if we need to make a purchase or buy something, we try to buy it on sale or get the best price that we possibly can for it. We save money by buying generic food or buying shopping sales. I've gotten really good at shopping the sale ads for the few grocery stores that we do have around us so that I can get the best prices on things that we eat regularly, like meat and vegetables. Um, Shopping seasonally, shopping the sales, shopping the ads, and then eating at home, not spending a lot of money eating out, learning how to make things at home is going to save you a ton of money because eating out is just so expensive these days. So if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Tell me, what ways do you save money in order for you to be able to stay at home and homeschool your kids? Let's talk about that down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you in the next video.